husband and wife, partners in life, family and business.
Through the ups and downs, we've overcome. God as a witness.
From the household of faith to real estate to what's happening now.
We've got something to talk about. So for the next few moments, please allow us
to bring you something you can feel.
It's time for the real talk about real life. Nothing but real. Wanna tell the truth, it's on the side. Let's be real. Join in, tell your friends, 'cause every now and then we all need a reality check
with the Adolphs.
Welcome to Reality Check with the Adolphs. And on today's episode, we have two very special guests, and we're talking about relationships and the laws of attraction.
Oh yes, definitely laws of attraction. And that's something that a lot of people don't know they have, and they have it. Because what that means, I know you're looking at me
What you mean?
Well, because here it is, law of attraction. What type of person are you? And then the people that comes around you acts just like you.
Birds of a feather?
Flock together. So when you get laws of attraction, but then on the flip side of that, you also got to look at relationship-wise. You really don't want nobody exactly like you, but you want common interests, something you can learn from each other and help each other grow. Like I always tell everybody and anybody, you're my weakness. I mean, you're where I'm weak at, you're strong at, and you're the neck. Am I right? Am I saying that right?
No, you're not. I'm saying it right. You're the head of our household.
And you're
I'm the neck that guides you.
Right. Yeah. See, I knew you knew what I was talking about.
Of course.
Law of attraction.
Laws of attraction. We'll be right back after this commercial with Debra Bell and Chris Davis.
Hi, this is Willie Adolph of the Adolph Group at Equity House Properties. I'm here today to talk to you about home purchasing. You know, a lot of times people want to know, where do we start? When do we start? How much do we need to save? What does our credit score need to be like? Can I really move in now? And the answer is yes. The thing is that you want to get pre-approved first before you even go house shopping, because what you wouldn't want to happen is that you find the perfect home, but the bank won't qualify you for your mortgage. So always get pre-approved first. So find a good lender, which we have a lot of resources for you on that. Second, you want to make sure that anything that's on your credit, if it's something that you can work with, let's work with it. Because everything on your credit, you know, it depends on what it is for each mortgage company. And third, once you get that pre-approval, now it's time to go house shopping. Now, Willie, what about the money, the down payment and things like that? Well, they have a lot of programs that's out there. So based on your credit will depend on the down payment assistance that you can receive. But we do have a lot of resources and a lot of things that can help you. And everyone with the Adolph Group will hold you by your hand and walk you through the whole process. So you can contact us at www.theadolphgroup.com or 281-451-7087. And remember, when you have will, you have a way.
Welcome back to Reality Check with the Adolphs. And on today's episode, relationships begin with the laws of attraction.
Yes, you have to have laws of attraction.
Because I was attracted to you.
And you was attracted to me.
You're supposed to say the other way around.
Well, see, that's not fair because there's a lot of times.
We have guests. In this segment, our guests are Debra Bell and Chris Davis. Welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So you guys, I invited you guys because you talk about real. And the cutest thing, they have a podcast and it's called
It's Real Life.
So the it's real life part, the real part, we kind of break that thing down into 3 different segments. So the first part is
Real hope.
Yeah.
real love, real
Real
life.
life.
So that's how that thing goes. Nice. Yeah.
And now y'all can say we were on Reality Check.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to get through with the corniness.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about your podcast and how did it start? How did you two get together?
So this started with prayer, actually. A friend of mine said to me, hey, you'd be good at doing a podcast. It's something I'd never thought about. And as I started to pray about it, this guy's name kept coming up. And I really didn't know Chris that well at the time. Wow. We had attended the same church, worked on some projects together, and his name just kept coming. We had seen each other after 15 years at a conference.
Yep.
And had a long conversation about something we were both going through.
Yeah.
Actually ended up being a podcast.
Yeah.
And so when I brought the idea to him, unbeknown to me, he had already been thinking about podcasting.
Wow. That's God.
It really is. Like I literally, a couple of friends of mine had podcasts of their own. And so they had me as a kind of a guest on their podcast. And I was like, man, this is actually kind of cool. So, it was maybe a couple of months after that I ran into Debra and she said, the Lord put you on my heart. And I was like, you don't say. I hadn't really thought about it prior to that point, but I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. And it just kind of flowed. It just fell in our laps organically, right? It's always nice when it just kind of organically just evolves and becomes whatever it's supposed to be. And so that's kind of how
it really did, because as we started talking through, what is it going to be like, we came up with a mission statement that says, It's Real Life Podcast is committed to bringing real, authentic conversation to impact the culture through talking about real life issues. And so that's what we've been doing over the last,
Wow,
Six,
it's been
eight
a while
months?
now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all started last year.
We started last
year.
year.
Yeah.
During the
Pandemic.
pandemic.
Literally.
I've been saying the word wrong, y'all.
Uh-oh.
I say pandemic.
That's a combination of pandemonium
I don't know what it is. I just made up a word.
Just panic.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it was. It's
felt
an
like
interesting
that.
thing, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's
So-
interesting the things that are birthed out of crisis,
Yeah,
right?
and this was a
so-
good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It keeps you busy.
Yeah, because a lot of people said 2020 was horrible, terrible. And I'm not taking anything from the lives that were lost and the ones that got, really, really sick.
Right.
But on the positive side of that, people had to recreate
Yes.
and rebirth themselves
Yes.
because a lot of people lost their jobs.
Yes.
So they had to find other means of income. And then not even that, some people just had to find how to reach out to others to help them, because you got now families together more often and they need something, an outlet or something, and you guys have actually put something together that's real.
It is real. It is real. It's amazing that some of the conversations that we've had on the podcast has had just really profound impacts on our audience. I've gotten calls with women in tears because something we discussed gave them answers to questions that they had asked and had no answers for.
Wow.
I've had young adults who come to me and say, hey, I'm listening, I'm laughing, you guys are funny, but this is such good content. And so I think our audience base, based on the analytics, range from 28 to 60 plus.
Really?
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
listening to a podcast. So what are some of the things, because it says real life, real hope,
Real
love.
All of that.
So y'all just, do you like list what you want and say, okay, what you think about that? Because y'all are in different cities. That's another thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we sat down and actually drafted a document,
Okay.
Excel spreadsheet. I'm a planner. He's the voice. But we collaborate really well, and we came up with probably 40 or so different topics. But it's interesting. When was the last time we looked at that document?
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
wow.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting is it was birthed out of like a series of conversations that we had.
Right.
And so it's almost kind of, it's already us, right? It's like you
Yeah.
have conversations, okay, you know
Just
what?
bringing that up again
Absolutely,
and then just
absolutely.
expanding on it.
Yeah, and then the things that we've talked about in the podcast, I'll often end the podcast with, hey, there's another subject in here. Look for us talking about whatever that subject is.
Absolutely.
And so then we'll roll from there.
You know, because a lot of times, and the good thing about podcasts, they can download it if you're riding in traffic, if you're, you know, especially in the cars, or if you're just at home on your quiet time. So that is a great tool that you guys have put out there for everybody.
Yeah.
It's pretty popular right now. It reminds me, and I'm telling my age a little bit here, but it reminds me of old school radio. You know, I grew
Yeah,
up
that,
in
before
the
the
age
TV,
where,
everybody gather around the radio.
Right.
I already
right.
know. You ain't that old, sis.
Listen. And I'll tell you something else that's kind of interesting about when it was birthed is you know how like when COVID first hit, it stripped everything, and it was a complete reset. You know, everybody was kind of back, you know, spending time with their families. Everything was kind of shut off and shut down. So you're getting back to authentic, quality time, spending this kind of time and having these conversations. And so a lot of it was just authenticity. And so in that time, it's kind of the genesis of what it was like, oh, wow, we need real conversations. We're getting back to real conversations. And so
What are
it's
some
really
of those
unique.
conversations?
So the conversation that Chris and I had when we met at the conference, in the middle of a crowd of people, we both were talking about grief. We had both lost our stepdads, and that was very impactful. So grief was one of those conversations. Vulnerability in relationships is another conversation that we've had. We've talked about being your authentic self, and socialization. How did I become who I am? So those are a few of the conversations.
That
Oh, yeah.
sounds good. Guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial, and we want to delve in on those relationship conversations and finding our purpose in order to find our mate. Hey there, we're Willie and Tequila Adolph, and we have some questions for you and your best friend. Have you ever wanted to spend time with your life partner without getting on each other's nerves? Can you remember that you wanted to serve your community and didn't know how to do it? Are you wanting to create a successful lifestyle doing what you love to do and having fun with your spouse?
With our experience, we love to help and support you. We have been successful entrepreneurs for over 15 years and have created over 50 businesses together. We have gone through the failures, the trials, and want to help you to try to avoid them. We have continued to trust in God.
So reach out to us today, and we will help you get started with couple bonding in business at www.couplesinbusiness.com.
The Adolphs Group at Equity House Properties. We provide residential, commercial leasing apartment locating. We provide consulting on home buying, home selling, and credit restoration. We help with private investments through All Faith Investment Corporation. Contact us now, the Adolphs Group at Equity House Properties. We make real estate your reality.
It's alright, let's join in, tell your friend, 'cause every now and then we all need a reality check.
with the Adolphs.
Welcome back to Reality Check with the Adolphs. And we have Chris and Debra of the Real Life Podcast on with us. And we're touching on the different subjects that they have and that they speak on. So you guys, it's pretty popular. We're super excited and proud of y'all for getting this going and starting it in the midst of it all. And it's still going pretty well. Regarding the relationships, because y'all are not married, can you give us one of your podcasts where you talk about finding that perfect mate?
Okay, so
Oh, go ahead, Debra. It's my turn next.
we did a podcast around vulnerability in relationships. And we both walked away from that podcast with a, oh my God, kind of experience because our guest, Dr. Verdi Leatherman, who's a local psychiatrist here in the city, and she said to us, when you understand who you are and you understand the purpose that God has for you, you will choose differently. So I said, my aunt Pearl in Greenville, Mississippi told me years ago, your picker is broke. And I'm like, uh-oh.
You Casey, gotta watch your words, Granny.
Okay. So let me sit down. That was after husband number 2. So let me sit down. And what I've come to understand and from that podcast is that it is so vital that you understand who you are and who God made you to be and what he made you to do. I'm looking at you guys and you have 15 businesses. And they all run so smoothly.
Well.
We see you guys also building in family in the middle of that. So you have things that are important to you, some of your core values that are very important to you, and you live those out publicly. And we see that and admire that, let me say.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but you probably have a moment from that particular podcast.
I'll tell you, one of the really interesting things, we have these aha moments, and we were kind of talking about the fact that, it wasn't that the people that we had engaged relationally were bad people. They were just not the best fit for us, right? And so we kind of talked about this illustration of seed and soil, right? And so, corn seed and wheat soil, it's not that corn won't grow, it just won't grow to its fullest potential, because the mineral content of that soil is set up for a particular kind of seed. So we're like, okay, I'm looking for the right kind of soil. And, so we're looking differently. So in terms of like our picker being broken, it's like, okay, well, let's look at this thing a little differently. Like there's someone who's set up to nourish who I am, right? And so we're pulling it out. I'm like, oh, we're having this aha moment, like, you know what?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so we kind of teased it out a little bit and kind of dug a little bit more into it, like in terms of what kinds of things, what kind of minerals and elements nourish me. And so again, that gets to knowing who we are.
Absolutely.
So if I know who I am, then I know what nourishes me, right? And then I know what I'm looking for. But prior to that point, I'm looking for somebody who's like me, right? And really what I need is somebody who's not like me, who completes me, who complements, who harmonizes, right? And so, yeah.
And then that voice, and he just says it. So ladies out there, you want to nourish your man.
Man, I tell you what.
You know what? I think another one of the points that Dr. Verdi made in that, it may not have been the vulnerability podcast, but we did something on socialization and who am I really? To my point of, it is so critical that you understand who you are before you go into a relationship. And I thought I was being real smart. And I'm thinking, we don't know who we are, and we've all gone through these different things. And what she brought out was that after you start dating, it's too late. Because the cement has settled by then. And the structure, the things you like or don't like, they've already set in. How you handle things, they've already set in. And what happens is we have not seen enough relationships where the parties give each other grace to grow, to stretch, to break free from some of the things that have them bound. And what we really see is people fighting. And so she made it very clear that in relationships, you have to be willing to give your partner grace.
So let me jump in with
Come
that.
on,
Go ahead.
So part of what we do is we kind of just organically flow, and then she'll say something like, "Oh, that's good, it's good." One of the other things we were talking about is the difference between relationship and partnership, right? So if you think about from a business standpoint, when you have two businesses that see a goal and say we can come together and achieve this goal, what company A has to do to help achieve the goal and what company B has to do may be different. Right? And so if company A has to sacrifice this, company A is not going to blame company B for what they have to sacrifice because it's all about the goal. So when you're looking at partnership, there are going to be sacrifices, the things you give up on both sides to get to the goal, because the goal is the goal. We're coming together, we're blending together, we're doing this thing collectively, stronger together than we are apart, because the goal is important. And so I think in a lot of ways we look at relationships differently than we should. And so when we start to have to sacrifice for the goal, we start looking and resenting and blaming the other person for what we have to personally sacrifice. And not realizing that me sacrificing this thing or compromising in some areas really helps us be stronger, and we get to where we're trying to go.
Yeah, that's definitely some good nuggets there. And because a lot of people think that I'm going to change you, but you can't change you if you don't change.
Come on.
There's certain things, like you said, if you don't know who you are and what type of energy you're bringing, because you may say, oh, I got it all, I got this, I got that, but what do you really have?
Yeah.
Because when somebody else come in, it's like you said, it's that soil. I'm a certain kind of seed, so I need that certain kind of soil. And if you bring in dirt to a seed, you may not get anything.
Yeah.
So it's very important to know who you are and not run from it, because a lot of people are running from their callings, and they don't want to be who God has put them on the earth to be.
See, that's a good point that you make right there, because what we were talking in the waiting room a little bit ago, and what we talked about was that people don't want to do the work. They're afraid to do the work. And for our culture, when we bring in therapy, that's like, oh, I'm not crazy. You think I'm crazy?
Yeah, I ain't gonna tell nobody my business.
That's the other one. That's the other one.
Already know.
And what happens is therapy becomes a safe place where you can unfold, where you can lay out, where you can pull back some layers to really see what caused what's going on in your life, and then get tools to know how to correct it.
Awesome. So how can we listen to this podcast, and tell us how can we connect more with y'all individually?
Okay. So the podcast, It's Real Life Podcast, is on all of the social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us there. Personally, you can find me, Debra F. Bell, on my Facebook page. I also have a business page, P3 Coaching and Consulting, as well as a website, askp3coaching.org.
Okay.
Mine is so much more simple. So yeah, I'm just Facebook and Instagram. It's just Chris Davis on Facebook. You got to look for my face because Chris Davis is an extremely popular and common name.
Yes.
So there's a ton of us out there, but I'm a unique Chris Davis anyway. So, but in Instagram, it's _ the Lionheart _1 _. And that's how you catch me on Instagram.
So that should be a good lead-in to talk about your business.
It sure is. Okay, so that was the alley-oop right there. So Lionheart is a business. It's actually been kind of a heartbeat of mine for a long time because I have 3 boys and I'm a man, and I realized that men need a safe place to be able to take off their armor and talk about real things and be vulnerable and have transparent conversation with other men who are healthy to pour in and nourish who they are as a man. And so it was kind of on my heart years ago to start a men's group to do that very thing. And so what happened was, as I started and saw how nourishing it was, and it was impacting people's marriages and impacting them on the job, then it just kind of blossomed from there. And the Lord kind of kept nudging me, and I finally said yes. And so created an organization called Lionheart.
Yeah, you can't stop too many nudges.
Exactly.
And so that's one area of common ground that we have. He does retreats with men. I do retreats with women. Through my P3 Coaching and Consulting business, I offer one-on-one coaching groups and retreats. So common ground.
Common ground.
Yeah, you guys really are perfect for each other. And I adore your pictures, and your marketing is very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on this episode of Relationships Start with the Law of Attraction. And we'll see you next time on Reality Check with the Adolphs.
Husband and wife, partners in life, family and business.
Through the ups and downs, we've overcome. God as a witness.
From the household of faith to real estate to what's happening now.
We've got something to talk about.